Hey guys, how's it going? Ezekiel the Barber back with another video. Thank you for tuning in to Ezekiel the Barber TV. We have another really good makeover haircut for you today, starring a superb individual. Been cutting this guy for a long time. Really thank you for your efforts, sir. Everything he does for the community. He's an educator. So today we're going to start with a 1A on top, and then we're going to do a bald fade on the side. Now I like to start by combing everything out. First, I can't stress sanitation enough. I like to use Andis Cool Care to kind of kill any germs, bacteria, funguses that may be on the clipper. Very important. You don't want to transfer any germs or bacteria or funguses or anything or viruses over to any clients. I like to make sure I keep all my clients in good hands. So this is a father and son. They normally come in together. So I like to start by using that 1A on the top, since I am going to be doing a bald fade on the side. I'll eventually bald that out later, but for the sake of setting my first guideline, this time I'm going to start this haircut on the top. So we're gonna use that 1A guard using the Oster Octane cordless clipper. And I'm just gonna set my first guideline. So that's basically what you see me doing here, is using that 1A metal guard all the way around the top of his head, even to the crown and the sides of his head as well. Okay. Now, basically, I know that I'm gonna bald the hair that you see that's left. So I'm not really worried about that right now. I'm just worried about setting my first guideline. So on the top, I just want to make sure that everything is nice and even with this 1A metal guard. Hair grows in every direction, so you want to make sure that you cut in every direction. So that's basically what you see me doing here. The Oster Octane clippers are very powerful clippers. Plus they're cordless. That's why I like to go to these clippers a lot, setting guidelines. My metal guards, definitely always a highly favored tool in the barbershop. I like the metal guards because they get straight to the point. They set nice, clean guidelines. Now my number one goal is to just make sure that everything is even all the way around. And these clippers, the Oster Octanes, I love them, man. Really good clippers. They do a nice job. They do work. In a barbershop, that's definitely what you want. It's something that, you know, can kind of, you know, sustain every job, and you know, anything that you present to it, it can take on. So that's why I love this clipper. Definitely a legend in my opinion. Right, looks like there's a few more areas that I kind of want to go over a little bit more, so I'll just go over that a little bit, make sure everything's nice and smooth. Now, my man already has his fade. He has his video coming up next. Dad's getting his haircut now. And the video after this would be followed by this young man that you see here. And we'll do a nice makeover haircut for him, and basically you see his haircut now. All right, so just smoothing out the haircut. You want to be really thorough. That's, you know, the secret to achieving really clean haircuts. You've seen that I basically use this 1A guard, and I've pretty much gone over his hair quite a few times just to kind of make sure everything is nice and clean from every angle. Cut from every different angle, pretty much north, south, east, and west, just to make sure everything is that much more even. These are basically the techniques that I use. And once again, this is a 1A on top, so we're going to use a 3-0 on the side. So the bald, stubbly look that you see, that's how that look's going to be achieved, is with this 3-0 guard. So now you see basically me setting my second guideline. That's why I didn't really worry about taking that hair off and using that 1A all the way around his head, because basically I was gonna bald it out anyway, so it really didn't make sense. It made more sense and saves more time just by going, using that 1A where I need it, and then coming back, grabbing that 3-0 metal guard where I need it as well. Now, these guidelines don't have to be too perfect, but I do like them as even as possible. It just makes your job that much more easier. But you still have to fade the hair in, so the guidelines don't have to be too perfect. So you don't have to worry about being a perfectionist in that regard. So just using that, once again, 3-0 metal guard all the way around. Just making sure whatever I do on the left, I do on the right. Everything's pretty much even. Everything's balanced. Always want to pull that ear, keep that ear out of harm's way. Make sure that ear is nowhere near the blades. There you are. Pull that ear. You don't have to pull it hard. Just work your way around the ear. There it is. Everything's nice and clean. All right, so the next clipper that I have is the Wahl 100th anniversary 5-star senior cordless clipper. Now I'm just going to use that lever all the way open, meaning that the steel blade is the furthest away from the cutting blade, which is going to give you kind of like that one guard look. It's not going to give you the bald look like if the lever was all the way closed. So I'm just going to use that open lever, go about an inch up, go all the way around his head, from left to right, right to left, whatever you choose. Now, each guideline, once again, I normally like to go about, I'd say, an inch up, half an inch, whatever you choose. Once again, you don't have to be too accurate or too precise. It's still your art. So as you can see, the fade's basically already coming together. Some people's hair fades a lot faster than others. So it's always a work in progress. You always want to work at it until everything looks right, till it fades right. We're still using that lever all the way open. Now, once I'm done using that lever all the way open and setting that guideline, there's always a bottom line that you want to bump out. You never want to go too high. You just want to attack just right at the bottom line. And then the rest of the fade is already set in from the guideline that you just set. So, you're just attacking that bottom line that transitions, in this case, that transitions from bald into a 1. So wherever that hard line was from the guideline that I just set, I would attack that line. And that's basically it. You set a guideline. Once you set the guideline, you'll see a line under the bottom of that line, and then you'll close the lever up a little bit to attack that line to fade it out. That's simply the fading process. Okay? Now, I like to try and keep things as simple as possible, though you can almost create chaos in any scenario. So that's why it's really important to have an order to things and a system. So that's basically the process that you see me doing here. I close the lever all the way up, I'm attacking the bottom line, and now you're seeing that fade going in. Now, fading is a combination of opening and closing the clipper. So, the more you do it, the more experience you get, the more you get the hang of it. you can only do so much learning from watching. Alright, so it looks like we're getting a little higher into where we use the 1A. So basically now I just, eventually I'm gonna put a guard on, maybe the 1 guard or the half guard. We'll see once I get to that point. Okay, so right here I'm using the Babylis cordless trimmers, the silver and black edition with the graphite blade. Definitely a beast in my opinion. Little quieter than the gold edition. However, the gold edition is definitely a beast too, just a little louder, but definitely can still get really good lineups. So I'm just literally lining my client up. I like to try and, go with the natural lineup, but still create a clean lineup. Great individual right here. Educates our young, the future. Definitely have respect for all the teachers out there. Thank you for what you all do for us. All right. So these are basically the techniques that I use to achieve the look that you see. I just like to keep everything balanced. Whatever I do on the left, I like to do on the right, vice versa. Just to keep everything nice and balanced. As you can see here, I kind of have to create the lineup a little bit, but still work with his natural lineup at the same time. Right, now I'm not going too hard, kind of going really soft. You don't want to dig into your client's hair or hairline or anything. Leave marks or abrasions. Definitely don't want to do anything like that. So you want to be really smooth, soft, have a really soft touch. You can still achieve really solid lines. Right, so we're getting a little closer to, this fade being, pretty much clean and finished. I'll always go back and polish up my work. Looks like my man's ready. He's like, Dad's about ready, man. We're about ready to get out of here. Almost, my man, almost. But we just got to do the beard. And so I like to use those same cordless trimmers. In this case, he's going to go with a goatee. As you can see, these clippers do work. So since he's gonna go with a goatee, which is just kind of like a square triangular look around his mouth area, everything else he wants gone. So everything on the face, everything pretty much underneath, he wants that gone. So I like these cordless trimmers. Love the cordless idea for the simple fact that, you don't have cords or anything to get in your way. You can pretty much get those hairs out of there, no problem. All right, so I'll basically just kind of make sure everything's nice and even. Once again, using every direction. Now, sometimes you can be in the barbershop a little longer than you expect, especially when you come with the father and the son. So, the son had his haircuts first, then his dad's turn. So I know little man is ready to get up out of here right about now. Sometimes you can be in the barbershop a little longer than you expect. So I definitely feel you, little man. So my number one objective is to definitely get a clean cut for my clients in a really time efficient process. So, having a system, being able to, talk to your clients and still work is something very critical. I've seen some barbers, they'll talk and then they'll just stop cutting. But, being able to multitask is definitely Something that I would say is a huge benefit if you're able to do it. So here we're just going to the other side. You know, basically you like to keep everything balanced. So whatever you do on the left, you want to do on the right. So that's basically what we're doing here. How's it going, my man? And I'm just going basically in every direction. Once again, just making sure I get that hair from every angle, because hair does grow from every direction. Right. So as you can see here, I just have to do a little bit more edge up work just to kind of bring everything together. So I'm just working on the lineup here a little bit. Everything looks pretty good there. Fade's looking pretty good. All right, the 360 version for you. Now in this area along the forehead, you always want to kind of go over that area. Sometimes there can be fuzzies that, you know, are kind of really hard to see. All right, just going over that lineup again. Definitely don't want to go hard. Nice and soft is all it really takes. So with the Babylis trimmers here, all right, my man, you take care, champ. All right, so basically here he's just looking to go with what's called a goatee. So my main objective here is to just make sure all my lines are symmetrical, everything straight across, everything nice and even. All right, and right here under the neck area, I like to kind of pull that Sanex strip, which is that white strip you see protecting the client between the cape and the client. So I like to pull that. A lot of times hair likes to hide under that Sanex strip. Also, once I'm done with the haircut, I'll kind of open that cape up, and whatever is under that Sanex strip that I didn't see from here, I'll also get that here as well. So you just kind of want to make sure that you're really thorough. Clients definitely like that. So everything's looking pretty good here. Just want to make sure I go over and clean everything up. So right now we have the OA guard, which is the same thing as a half. We're going to use that on the beard and the mustache. This client in particular likes the OA. Once again, it's gonna kind of give you that shadow look. It's less than a 1, a little bit over a 000, right in between both. So that's how you get the name the half or a 0.5 or OA. It's all the same thing. So I just want to go over all the hairs in every direction, as well as the mustache. This is just basically the techniques that I use here. Now in this area, when you're first starting off, you always want to be cautious of the nose and the lips. Sometimes the corner of the clipper or the edges of the clipper can maybe cut your client if you go too far, you're moving too fast. So you always want to be really slow and gentle in this area. Just kind of really smooth and accurate. Never want to kind of go too high into that lip area. Another good trick is I'll ask the client to kind of roll their top lip over the top row of their teeth, just to kind of make it that much smoother, to kind of get in there and make sure that you don't cut the lip or the nose. All right, so basically right here, I'm still using the cordless trimmers. I just like to get any fuzzies that are on the ear or hairs that are, basically stuck to the ear. Sometimes you'll see that. I also take the opportunity, take that time to get any hairs behind the ear that I basically couldn't get to whenever I was setting my first guideline. Also, I'll clean up the neck area. This is just basically an overall cleanup just to make sure that any hairs that, are supposed to be gone in this area that's balded are basically gone. So I'll just go over everything nice and smooth. Just want to make sure I'm doing a really thorough job. Going over everything one last time. Checking for any ear hairs or fuzzies. Any hair behind the ears is what I'm checking for now, just by pulling that ear a little bit. And sometimes you'll see little hairs on the forehead as well, so I did take the time to do that as well. So from here, everything looks pretty clean. Just want to go over the lineup one more time. All right, you never want to dig in to a client's lineup in case you have to come back like this and do touch-up work. So it's always a good idea to just go really easy, let the blade do the cutting, and you can still get really crispy lineups. A lot of times you'll get fuzzies right there on the forehead in that area, so I always like to do that on every client. And basically here what you see me doing is just going back over the goatee, just making sure everything looks symmetrical, everything has an even balance from left to right. Just make sure there aren't any hairs that I didn't take off with the half as well. Just like to look over everything, make things a little bit more detailed. So haircuts are always a work in progress. Now, you only have so much time in the barbershop on a haircut, so normally I like to take anywhere from 35 to about 45 minutes on my clients. I think that's adequate time to, be able to get a nice haircut and whatever the client's beard preference is as well. Few techniques that I, just ask the client to kind of roll that lip over the top row over his teeth. It kind of exposes things a little better. And that allows you to kind of make things that much more cleaner, to be that much more thorough for your client. Just cleaning up with the trimmers a little bit. Here I just have the one guard with the cordless Sterling 4 Wahl clipper, just taking any little prickly hairs that kind of stick up or stick out, just kind of make sure that the haircut lays nice and smooth. I didn't use that technique for long. Everything was already looking pretty good, but I just like to use that technique to be really thorough. And then once again here, just going over the lineup using the Andis cordless trimmers. Really light on the lineup. Can't stress that enough. So these are basically the techniques that I use for the lineup. Like to use the corner of the clipper to get the hard edges. So here I like to use the Pro-Line hair sheen. Really good and healthy for the hair. Just kind of use it as you see me using it here. Rub it in both hands. Evenly disperse it throughout both sides of the head. Just kind of keeps everything conditioned, really good food for your hair. And then what you see me doing here is basically, since everything is pretty much final, just going over all of my work, making sure that everything is really clean. So open that Sanex strip up, open the cape up, so whatever hairs were below that, I just want to basically clean up that whole area. And these are basically the techniques that I use in those areas. So I kind of like to go from the bottom up and then from up and down, just to make sure I do get those hairs from every direction. So I like to kind of use these same techniques that you see me using here. These are my actual techniques. So I like to go down against the grain, and then I'll flip that clipper and do the same area, going the opposite direction with the blade. And once again, this is just really to ensure that you do a really thorough job. Now, I do like to cut to a look, so if everything looks right, it looks the way that it normally looks, then, you know, we're pretty much close to being done with the haircut. I like to always go over, get any hairs that are behind or on the ear or inside the ear, kind of clean that up really quick for my clients. They really appreciate that. All right. So I'll just do that on both sides. All right, so it looks like everything's pretty good from here. Okay, so it looks like the fade has a pretty nice transition here. Looks like it normally does when I cut this client. So things look like they're pretty fresh right there, nice transition. So here's another look. All right, perfect. And then we'll kind of give you a before also, just to kind of show you guys how everything looked before. Then we'll give you the after version. So I like to put a little astringent on. I like to call it the hot sauce, but it's basically aftershave, so it's an astringent. All right. So give them the mirror, let them check it out. Here's the before. Had been a while, definitely time for a cut. Looks like we're doing good now. Here is the after. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Another video from Ezekiel the Barber. Until next time,
Entertainment.
take care.